Hello and good afternoon to this Trustpilot webinar, together with our partner Nata. I'm pleased to say Nata have been a partner of Trustpilot with an integration for over 5 years now. We have a number of joint clients, including Misguided, Yodel, and AO.com, who are using Nata technology to respond to reviews. So Nata have built up a lot of understanding and expertise over those years with respect to how to respond to reviews and manage your online reputation. So we're pleased that we are working together today to do this webinar for you. The title of the webinar is Reviewing Success, a Proactive Approach to Reputation Management. So I'm pleased to be joined by Martin Brown, who's the Managing Director of Nata. Martin will be taking us through the presentation today, and then please leave questions whilst we're going through the presentation, as we'll then finish with a Q&A session where we can answer your questions. So, no further ado, I'll hand over to Martin.
Thanks, Peter. I'm going to approach this from a non-Nata angle and kind of talk through some of the challenges and benefits from dealing with reviews in general, and kind of then talk you through how Nata and Trustpilot have formed quite a key integration. So apologies to those of you who know most or all of this, and as a certified nerd, I'm going to stray into the area of marketing. So for those of you who are in marketing, this is going to be very painful, but I'll do my best to not embarrass myself too much. So rather obviously, consumers are seeing reviews on paid ads, such as the ones I'm showing on the screen. They're also seeing it on organic listings on Google, for example. As well as that, they're seeing it on shopping, on Google shopping results. As we can see there, and for a very similar product, if I was a consumer, the trainer on the left with kind of high star rating, but more importantly, volume of reviews against the product, from a social proof point of view, is going to push me to go down that channel. Yes, I accept it's also cheaper, but regardless of that, there are other factors in those kind of purchasing decisions. It's very easy for a consumer then, when they're going to kind of looking at more details and pricing and shipping and where to buy from, that if you notice, the only thing outside of the blue hyperlink colors on there are the reviews. And it's possible for consumers to go further into those star ratings and understand what customers are saying. So this used to be kind of closer to gamification. How do I just get my rating up to a random number? And we all know of the cheats and workarounds that people have tried to employ to do it. Consumers are smarter than that. They know that fake reviews exist, and will do some desktop research as well. So it's not enough just to be able to go back and go, wow, we've got to 9.9, that's fantastic. It's got to be, and not just 9.9 in terms of great reviews, but it's also got to give some meta and some context to what they're researching as well. You'll notice on the right hand side there's a bunch of different reviews. So Google seeds reviews from a number of sources, and Trustpilot is one of the major sources of Google reviews globally that's influencing customers. So it's really important that you guys think about who you engage as a review platform. So one of the things that can often confuse is when people poorly manage their review profile, consumers can also get confused. So, with this quite famous shirt retailer, we can see 3 different review ratings, and there's always a reason for this. It's actually not that important why that's happened. It's more important that it has happened. You need to kind of give the consumer an aligned view of the brand. That there's a big difference between 4.2 and 6.8, and yet there are only 3 reviews driving 6.8. So one of the first pieces of advice we give is to centralize your reviews, your customer reviews, your brand reviews, and your product reviews, and be really careful about the platform you choose. This isn't just or shouldn't be a price-led decision. You should consider the tech behind it. The other thing I want to touch on briefly is how people respond. It's a really popular question, how do I stop 1-star reviews, or how do I deal with 1-star reviews? And they're two very different questions. I'm going to stay away from the first one. I think you guys as businesses will be able to determine how you can deal or certainly stop 1-star reviews. One of the things that I'd highlight is that just having generic apologies on a review is not the way to engage a customer. And I'm going to go through this in a little more detail. So probably my famous review stat in the world, and I'm a family man, I've got 5 kids and 2 grandkids. So I'd like to think that they respected my views more than anything else on the face of the planet. But if you look there, let's start with the millennials, their trust on online review is 40%, but friends and family 24%, meaning quite bluntly that people in that generation, my kids, trust reviews more than they trust me. Now, whilst that might not come as a shock, it is quite distressing, especially given the fact that I'm a nerd. I'm not going to talk you through every stat on here. You can see that's very different from the baby boomers, unfortunately, where I'm getting very close to being in that bracket. But it's still now interesting that used to be friends and family would come top and online reviewers would come next. So if you're looking to influence people's decisions, certainly on purchasing or and really grab hold of social proof, whereas the net promoter friend get friend used to be the nirvana of where you're going, to be honest, it's reviews that are now proving the more driving force here. And so have a word with the guys who are looking to increase the NPS, because that's still a valuable thing to do, but I would look harder at your social proof and how that's influencing behavior. So when it comes to research before buying, infrequent online shoppers, I'm going to stick with an e-com for the minute. It's easier for me. It's where I'm most comfortable. But 38% of infrequent online shoppers will check reviews out before buying. Monthly shoppers, it goes up to 54%, and for weekly shoppers, it goes to 67%. For those of you who are looking for repeat business, reviews are 2/3 used when people are shopping, and that stat for me should or for all of us should be fairly key. I'm going to touch on this, not little. It's the only slide I'm comfortable with because it's tech stuff. But basically, I just wanted to share with you, make sure, first of all, you're gathering reviews and make sure they are relevant and verified from a trusted source. It's very easy to collect these from a number of places. Trustpilot is one of a number of trusted sources, but make sure you're only fishing in that territory. Tell your tech guys to make sure that you've got your schemes set up correctly, because otherwise it's not going to be leveraged in the right way. And there are things like the Google Developer Kit to make sure that you're surfacing that in the right way. Go back to my first few slides. Are you surfacing this social proof on paid, organic, and shopping ads? Because generally people allow somebody in marketing to set it up in one place and it isn't set up fully and all. Make sure you're surfacing this in all areas of search. So this for me highlights a dramatic change. I hope there aren't very many estate agents on here because they're going to be really upset with me, but let me just say that estate agents have a reputational challenge out there. Let's put it that way. Get me drunk later and I'll give you a very different version of that subtext. But Purple Bricks, if you notice on the right-hand image, are pushing their social proof very, very hard on their website as an asset. It's above the fold, it's home page. I'm not here to advocate Purple Bricks. I'm here to advocate the change in how businesses are using social proof. So yes, it's on search ads, I get that, and yes, you can go to Trustpilot and see it there, but the smarter cookies are saying, let me surface social proof right there on my website, both on the home page, but also against products, categories, and in different places. So that would be a massive piece of advice that I would give you is use this. I'll treat it as an asset. Now, one of the things I wanted to go through really, really quickly was that we all understand that we sometimes get bad reviews like this one and good reviews, and I get that too. But if you look at this review, the top one demonstrates what I see as the without insulting this particular manufacturer, because this could have just been one person in a team that's slightly got it wrong. So I'm not besmirching the brand or the business in any way, but that's the worst way you can actually respond to a 1-star review. 2 reasons. One is it's not very personable. It's quite dry. And 2, it's shifting all of the effort back to the consumer. You know, yes, I get the apology, and we should do that. But now what I'm going to do is take you from a review channel and ask you to email me in order that I can revert and sort your problem out. That's not the way to do it. We can see that they edited it, but this still misses that critical part. So I'm going to go through in a tiny bit more detail, but about what a good way to respond to that is. But and again, my background in CS Tech, I suppose, is that responsibility used to lie with the CS team all the time, and that certainly is changing. Marketing and no longer siloing this as well and leaving it just to CS. So we now moving to a world where we're looking to the skill of an advisor, especially, who is best placed to respond to reviews. We're not just shoving it into an operation and hoping somebody does well. And the real clever players here are connecting marketing with customer service to make sure the brand message, the tone, the response, and is brave enough and personable enough to reflect those brand values. And that's important. We can't just treat this like an executable task. 1-star review comes in, apology goes out, take it offline, try and stop it being noisy. That's not the way to do it. Just before I get on to the negative, how do you create positive? Your biggest asset is that customer service team. They talk to your customers over and over and over again, millions and millions of times. They know or they're in contact with their customers. That in smart businesses I've dealt with, they encourage people to leave reviews at the end of a conversation. So instead of collecting private CSAT or private NPS, what they're doing is saying, no, please go out there and tell the world what you think of the service I've delivered. Be brave enough to do that. And what that results in, and this is the same retailer, different customer service advisor. Why do I love this? It's the use of the word Ellie. This is now personable. It isn't just thank you for a great service, that was fantastic. The fact that Ellie is being mentioned, for me as a consumer, I trust this now, because to know that customer service advisor's name makes it very different. So just do me a favor and consider advocating your customer service team, getting those positive reviews out there, but personalizing it, as opposed to this, a 5-star review, a good company perfect. It's a 5-star review, it's a verified order. There's no reason for why I wouldn't trust it, but it isn't as engaging as the other one for me, and it isn't as personable. And if I'm going to make a purchasing decision on this, I'm going to believe the fact that if I get into trouble, that previous brand has a superstar in Ellie who's going to help me out. So that's going to affect what I'm doing. This actually is if you want to take it to the next level, is where we see with Natta clients where they do this. So first of all, the customer who doesn't name themselves says, Graham was great, etc. If you notice the response, first of all, the response is thank Zoe, without needing for them to come in. They've alluded to the service that provided them, and then used a great kind of hashtag at the end, as well as confirming that yes, I'm Graham again. That there are a number of key elements in there. We need to treat the way you respond to a Trustpilot review, or indeed any review, as what is the best way to engage a customer, give them the best experience. And nobody, or generally people won't argue with being personal, with being personable, with being brave, and take the effort out of problems. Again, going back to how to do a 1-star review, and I'm not saying this is the best one I could ever show you, but it is an example of what I think it represents, at least good, let's put it that way, is that on the response, what we can see is that rather than saying, please email me, please call me, please go through a channel, Adam from Waldo said that they have emailed it back regarding the subscription. They've tried to execute a solution to the problem, and that to me is how you deal with 1-star reviews, because whether they change that 1-star review or not, what I want to see as a consumer, where these 1-star reviews are influencing me, is the fact that when there is a problem, I'm not going to have to work hard. That effort's going to be done for me. Couple of more stats, because I'm a bit of a stat nerd, I suppose. If you could read this from the kind of bottom up, the question here is that would you change your reaction or your view of the company depending on one of the things on the left-hand side? So basically it said if they receive a request for a phone call, 46% of them will. If they receive a company comment on the review, it goes up to 61%. So again, all of this, the effort hasn't been taken out of it. Let me jump to the top. The top one is the most important one. 88% will alter their view after a poor review if the company both fix the problem and contact me. This isn't a technical challenge. This is a process challenge that has technical elements in there. We need to rely less on an arbitrary number and worry less about the number and worry more about the person at the end of it. That's the key. Even as a nerd who doesn't interact well with other humans, that's the bit that I think I'd encourage you to do. I lied when I said that was the last stat. I've got a couple more. First of all, when we look at company who was satisfied with company responses on the back of it, what actions would they take? A couple of key stats. Again, I'm not going to read you through this, but 14% will do nothing. So 86% are going to do something on the back of a good turnaround. Interestingly, if we go back to net promoter land, a quarter of the people who've left a bad review are now going to recommend you. So you've now gone from a detractor to someone who's promoting you, just by turning around a response. Worry less about that 43%. I know everybody wants that great score for social proof, but I'll take 25% of unhappy customers now recommending me over the top of that, I'm afraid. Now let's contrast that with if you don't turn them around, what do people do? Interestingly, 11% do nothing. 89% now are going to do something. And if you look again at the net promoter, the bits, the 50% of people are going to actually put other people off. You've just gone from 25% positive to 25% promotion to 50% detraction. That's a 75% swing. So in all of this, turning people around is not about the star rating changing. It's about altering the opinion of the person. And of course, going back one bit, 43% will change their review to a positive one, which is great, but it's not the important thing. Last slide, and then I'm done boring you all. I've got a couple of kind of pieces of advice that clients of Natta have seen work. So first of all, collaboration is the most important fundamental key to this. This can't be a siloed department simply reacting to reviews on a review platform. You've got to train people on how to do that bit. When I talked about personalizing it, how to create positive reviews, how best to deal with them, we can't just expect because these guys are process knowledgeable that they understand how to respond to something that has such an important impact on customer shopping. One again for the marketing guys to take a little bit of a warning shot across the bows. I would encourage you all to look at automated marketing campaigns. Are they actually driving quality and quantity? Or are they driving bad reviews? Without going into too much detail in here, we've seen clients who are self-destructing, they're committing review suicide because their automated campaigns aren't as thought out as they should be. It's just a tip, just give it some thought. Also make sure that you're using reviews on the relevant channels. Again, going back to paid advertising, organic, Google Shopping, on your website, on your product pages. It should be there on your market material. This social proof is an asset. Don't keep it locked in a box only to be kind of defending against poor reviews. And finally, the most important thing, take those positive reviews and make sure that you're promoting them on your website or indeed in your bricks and mortar even. People will trust more. How many of you have booked a hotel because you've read a review on Trustpilot, or you've gone to a restaurant because what people have said? And it's exactly the same here. People are going to do this research. So hopefully that's given you a bunch of information. I'm happy to take any questions.
So thanks very much. It's a fantastic presentation, and we've got a few questions here. First of all, why hasn't Natta integrated with any other review platforms?
A couple of reasons, really. One is technical. if Natter are going to integrate with any platform, the platform has to be fit for purpose. It has to allow us to do the technical bit of gathering reviews, responding to reviews. I need metadata such as star rating. I need to be able to align that with other channels, because reviews don't sit in isolation. Generally, I've had web chats, social conversations, phone calls, and Trustpilot gives us all of that. The other side of it, if I'm honest, is that Trustpilot has an organic review tendency as well. Often with some of the other review platforms, the reviews are only there because the retailer or the client or the business has driven the reviews there, whereas consumers are going to Trustpilot, leaving reviews, much the same as they would with another organic platform like TripAdvisor. So and there's a big key element in that. All Natter is a customer service platform. It's a piece of software, it's a piece of kit. If you're going to engage on the subject of social proof and peer reviews, you need a business that's quite expert in this, and regularly Natter clients are getting a huge amount of benefit of the collaboration they've got with their Trustpilot.
Excellent. I think that makes a lot of sense. So we have another question here. What are the other benefits of Trustpilot? Well, I think as Martin showed in the presentation, very comprehensive review of where you can see reviews in shopping. So certainly one of the primary benefits of Trustpilot is being able to get seen and attract people to your site, and we then see a large uplift in conversion through either PPC or organic traffic on site. But probably one of the areas that I think Martin's talking about here, but also is what we call get better. So it's not only how you can get better in your response from a customer service perspective, but it's also then analysing those reviews and that customer feedback, and then addressing how can we get better as a business. We do believe a lot of our customers are taking the benefits of those good review scores in their marketing, but maybe not actually analysing those reviews and then thinking about how we can improve our business. So that's something that there are features coming up in Trustpilot that will enable people to do that through the product increasingly moving forwards, but also we always welcome customers to also pull in the data and analyse that in their own business information platforms, etc. But we do think there's a lot of nuggets of great information there, but of course with thousands of reviews coming in, it's very difficult to be able to analyse that at a human level. You're probably going to need to invest in some systems to do that, but we think that is another way you can really benefit from Trustpilot. I think another area going into more of the offline world, and as Martin talked a little bit at the end there in terms of promotion, is thinking about using that Trustpilot score and positive endorsement and social proof in your above the line advertising and marketing as well. So you've probably seen increasingly in print advertising and on TV, we're seeing, and it's not just Trustpilot, but obviously we're one of the popular ones, companies using those scores, and they're doing it, as I say, for social proof. And we did some research at Trustpilot last year around why were our customers doing that and what the actual impact is with consumers. So we did a consumer research survey, and what was really encouraging for us is that we have something like 58% named awareness of Trustpilot as a review brand. So first of all, the majority of consumers, if you use that Trustpilot score in your advertising, have heard of Trustpilot. And because of that, when we then ask people, would you be more likely to trust that brand, knowing that they're 4 or 5 stars on Trustpilot, 77% said they're actually somewhat or strongly more likely to trust that brand. And actually, pivotably, 72% said they're actually more likely to buy, which obviously from a marketeer's point of view is very important. And don't feel that you just have to have, you can only do that with 5 stars. We actually did small research this year that showed the impact was just as impactful in terms of stats if you had a 4-star review compared to a 5-star review. So actually it is that social proof. People don't expect you to just have 5 stars 4 stars is still, you know, good enough in most people's mind. And it's like back to the review thing. If you're just getting positive reviews, that's obviously marvelous, but consumers know that people aren't perfect. They're expecting to see some negative reviews in there. And in fact, they're more likely to believe them if they do see some in there. And it's all then down to how you respond to them, of course, as Martin was just saying.
Yeah, I mean, we often see with a lot of NASA clients where retail and certainly in e-com, they're getting a lot of 1-star or negative reviews because of supply chain challenges or delivery and logistics and fulfillment challenges. And what we've helped them to do is to take that review data in, match it with other kind of supply chain and delivery chain issues, and produce analytics that allows them to go back and challenge where they need to address some of those issues. And they've made strategic changes to both supply and delivery chain. And not to underestimate the question of sentiment. If you overlay sentiment on the top of the review, very often we'll see fantastic product, easy to order, delivery was difficult, and then customer service was awful. Now, I've just gone through a whole range of different sentiments and good analytics that overlays. It doesn't just say this is 1 to 5, but it also allows, and I know the Trustpilot ecosystem does also allow that, but it's bringing all this data in together. And the final bit is understanding FCR, that first contact resolution. What we want is to say, okay, you've had an experience, good or bad. I'm going to go in there, I'm going to give you an amazing response, I'm going to resolve it first time, and then measuring that, and then using a platform like Nata to say, well, how often do we actually create a merry-go-round of 75 email exchanges as the customer just continues to get further and further across?
Marvellous. Another question here, how do we get access to the Nata integration to Trustpilot?
Really easy. I mean, yeah, if you go to nata.com and then just get in touch with us, we'd love to talk. The other way is to talk to Trustpilot. I mean, ultimately, if we're talking about the Trustpilot review platform, it's critical that you form a relationship on both sides. We are a piece of software at Nata, whereas Trustpilot are a platform that understand how to manage customers in this sense.
Cool. So we've got another question. Would you suggest replying to all 5-star reviews?
No, it's a popular question, and I think what I would say is don't also choose an arbitrary percentage. Don't say I'm going to answer all negatives and 1 in 5 positives or 5-star or whatever that is. What I would say is where it would make sense to a consumer to see a relevant, personal, and a response that provides some context that allows me to make a purchasing decision. That's the right review to respond to. Just be selective rather than just mathematical.
Okay, so we've got another question here. We're often mistaken for another company with a similar name. As a result, we sometimes receive negative reviews. How would you advise we respond to those, and can anything be done to remove those reviews? Well, so from Trustpilot perspective, if you're receiving reviews on your Trustpilot profile page that you genuinely believe aren't for your business and they're mistaken, you can report those reviews to our compliance team, and we will take steps to try and verify that, and if it is mistaken, we will get them removed for you. Obviously, from a marketing point of view, anything you can do to make your profile as unique as possible is good. And also, I guess, if you're only collecting reviews organically at the moment, as people are finding you on Trustpilot and then leaving a review about you, then I guess that's always subject to error. So one of the way you could try and overcome that is by proactively collecting reviews. By integrating with Trustpilot, you're going to increase the volume of reviews that you get, but also increase the volume of accurate reviews that are actually about you. And so these, the proportion of these false reviews about you will go down. They're obviously always going to be irritating, but if you're collecting hundreds or thousands of genuine reviews, then the impact on your business will you know, reduce over time. I think if that's happened to you a lot, make contact to compliance@trustpilot.com, and then, you know, we can see whether, if that's happening repeatedly, we can sort of streamline the process. But obviously we respect the consumer, and so each review has to be investigated before it's removed. We are a comparisons website, and we get many bad reviews about our products, but they review us Google, Facebook, as if the products are ours. Sorry, so that's quite a long question. So I think we'll probably come back to you offline on that one.
I've existed in a world, so this is not going to be relevant to that particular question. So I'm going to skirt around it. Apologies, but I used to work as an IT director in an aggregating business that had other products on a website where people came, compared prices, chose a product, and then off they went. And we would often get bad reviews for that product or service rather than us as a provider. We took the attitude, I'm not saying this is right or wrong, but we took the attitude of, we brought the consumer to us, we were offering them a service. The fact that that service provider existed on there, we accepted some of the responsibility. What we did to challenge that is, rather than kind of bemoan the fact that somebody else was being reviewed badly, we took the opportunity to surface that against each provider as we allowed that comparison, and that influenced their decisions on a comparison site. Now, I realize that some of the people leaving reviews might be leaving about that business outside of the fact that they've engaged you as a comparison site. I get that 100%. We have that all of the time, but we just allowed that social proof to influence people's decisions. So we embraced it in the end, because the truth is that, yes, you can go through the processes to have things removed and all of that kind of stuff, but I'm just a big believer in that consumer is expressing an opinion, and whether we like it or not, they're going to express it wherever they feel that's right to do so. So I think if you think hard, you can probably turn it to your advantage, is probably my advice.
Great. Well, I think that's all the questions we've got time for today. So I'd just like to thank Martin for a fantastic presentation, and we will respond to the people that have left questions. If you'd like to get in contact with Natta, please reply to the invitation or contact Trustpilot, and we'll put you in touch.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thanks very much.